Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Find Your Model Health, the official podcast for those looking to optimize their long-term health and weight goals and understand how their body works. I'm your host. I'm Shemaine Linney. I'm an integrative health practitioner, nutritional therapist, certified iridologist, and biohacker. I'm very happy to have you back with me for another piece of your day. Today we're looking at cheese. This is going to be a fun episode, specifically for one client. She'll know who she is when she listens to this. But before we go on, I want to remind you the information in these podcast episodes is for informational purposes only and should not be taken as medical advice. Please consult your health practitioner before making any lifestyle changes. And as well, I would like to thank this podcast sponsor for this episode, Treats by Carla, who specializes in handmade chocolates and other chocolate treats made in a dedicated gluten-free kitchen in Airdrie, Alberta. She has options for dairy-free and vegan customers as well, and you can check out her products and reach her at Facebook or Instagram at Treats by Carla. Let me tell you, my favorite, salted caramel, butter rum. She knows what my favorites are. I have been eating Carla's treats since she opened, since day one. We've been working together. And she very kindly offers my clients and followers a discount. So let her know I sent you. Shipping is available, but oh my God, Carla's chocolates, you can literally taste they're made with love. She makes them with Ghirardelli chocolate. They're so luscious. They're so rich. You will not go back. So thank you, Carla. Thank you for sponsoring the show, and let's go on. So what we're looking at today is cheese, and more so the addictive aspects of cheese. So cheese in general is healthy and delicious, and it can be a great source of nutrients, fat-soluble nutrients, protein, of course, many of us know, even some food for those little microbes in our gut. But there is a dark side to cheese, and we're going to look at that today. So the addictive aspects to cheese, and more so what they contain, called casomorphins. So cheese, like I mentioned, it has loads of benefits. It can have some minerals, or fat-soluble minerals, but there is this addictive aspect to cheese, and you see this all the time. People just love cheese. Like they just can't get enough of cheese. It's like, it's kind of like Pringles. Once you pop, you can't stop. And some people can be just as addicted to cheese as someone else might be addicted to chocolate. And that comes down to these casomorphins that are in. So casomorphins are, it's when your body breaks down the protein casein into casomorphins. And some of you will be thinking, well, morphine, casomorphins, okay, we know this is going to affect the nervous system and the brain on some level. Well, these compounds attached to dopamine receptors in your brain, which in some people can trigger craving for more of that food or more of similar foods. Now, the research shows us that this is not as addictive or as dangerous as drugs, but in some people, it can obviously cause them to overconsume cheese. And then in that aspect, we start to see the detriments in that, okay, we could be activating the immune and inflammatory response, but also the weight gain aspect and how that affects people's mood and mental health. Also, we have to consider the good aspect in some people. Too much cheese in most people is going to cause systemic inflammation. So that's going to start in the gut. You're going to cause inflammation in the gut and disruption there. Whether or not you have a lactose issue or you get IBS or diarrhea from cheese, you will still have systemic inflammation. Once that happens, then you can encourage insulin resistance. And then once that happens, now we're starting to predispose you to more weight gain, but also more cravings, because insulin resistance encourages more cravings for sugar, whether that's sweet or savory. And then we have, if you are gaining weight, that obviously is going to affect your mood and mental health. And for some people, they'll know cheese is the problem, but they're so addicted to it that it's very hard for them to give up. In a lot of cases, I've had to tell people to just go cold turkey, like just no. Or we would do an elimination diet for 3 weeks and then reintroduce cheese and see how they react to it then. And also see, did they die in those 3 weeks? Can they live without cheese? Most people usually survive. But it's because these casein proteins or these casomorphins, they trigger the brain's opioid receptors. There was one article out of Mount Sinai. Basically, it's titled "Study Reveals That Cheese Triggers the Same Part of the Brain as Many Drugs, but like I mentioned, not as dangerous." This was done back in 2015, but still super good. It basically says new research argues that cheese is addictive in a similar way to drugs because of that chemical, casomorphine casein, which is also the problematic protein when we look at gastric issues. It's usually casein as well. And then we have whey, of course, but casein is very problematic for a lot of people. So casein, which is found in dairy products, can trigger the brain's opioid receptors. So Nicole Avena, assistant professor of pharmacology and system therapeutics at Mount Sinai and co-author of the study, explained the significant findings, saying this is a first step towards identifying specific foods and properties of foods which can trigger an addictive response, and this could help change the way we approach obesity treatment. It may not be a simple matter of cutting back on certain foods, but rather adopting methods used to curtail, like smoking, drinking, and drug use. So being addicted to cheese is a real thing. I know one specific client, it's almost laughable, although I of course try to help her, is that cheese, it's a huge part of her life. Probably the same way chocolate is a part of my life, although I have gone months where I've eliminated chocolate and I live to tell the tale. But cheese, it is just there. It's like, oh my God, I love cheese. Cheese and wine, cheese and crackers, cheese and meats. Like especially now with the big trend around charcuterie boards, like it's cheese. And it's because it has this, not only does it have that fat, carb, savory flavor combination that triggers all of your taste buds. Now we're also activating these opioid receptors as well. And even looking at like pizza, people love pizza. It's because we're activating these receptors, these opiates. They attach to the same brain receptors that really heroin and morphine attached to. They're not strong enough to be dangerous like the others, but they're strong enough to keep you coming back for more. And then this can lead to, of course, weight gain, mood instability, systemic inflammation, weight gain again, which is it's a big mood and happiness trigger for people. So although these foods are delicious and they activate dopamine activity just like chocolate does, but also just like exercise does, exercise stimulates dopamine. We keep coming back to these foods for more, and they can be problematic. And a lot of manufacturers and cheese companies, they're well aware of these stats and the research, and they use it obviously to leverage their financial benefits. But why am I telling you this? Well, it's because nobody really speaks about this. We know cheese is a dairy. We know it has got some health benefits. We know the calcium aspect. We know it tastes good. But there's also another side to this coin. And if you find that you you think you have an issue with cheese or you may be addicted, like I can admit I have an issue with chocolate. I do. But I can eliminate it and I can survive and I can stick to just my dark chocolate because I know that's best for me. When I overconsume chocolate, I can feel my gallbladder acting up. My bowels will change. But you have to be honest with yourself. Like, do you have an issue? Do you have an issue with cheese? Do you have an issue with chips? There might be a problem. And unfortunately, there's no Cheese Anonymous support group. And given the prevalence of obesity and diabetes and heart disease nowadays, someone has to talk about this. So, cheese is one of these things that could be a vice in your life, and you might need to restrict it or eliminate it, but at least be aware that it's a problem. So it's up to you. This information is purely to educate, and then you're going to make your decision. But there's definitely addictive properties to cheese that can keep you coming back for more and more and more, even in one sitting, and cause you to overeat. And before you know it, you've at 500 calories in cheese, and you're wondering why you're not losing weight or you're gaining weight or your skin is breaking out or you've got aches and pains or you've got bowel issues or gallbladder issues. So let's be honest with ourselves, people. Is cheese a problem? Okay, I hope you found this helpful. I'm going to leave it at that. Please share with anyone you find or think that might benefit from this information. And I will chat to you guys again real soon. Bye-bye.